Hey, John. Hey, Julia. Yeah, let's get focused on We Energies and the city of Milwaukee. So, the name Alex Brower, we've talked about that name before. He's a 3rd District Alderman. He won his seat last year. And the biggest issue he campaigned on and told me in an interview I did with him the day after he won, he says, if it wasn't for this issue, don't know if I would have won. And it's this matter. He's been campaigning to make We Energies a public utility within the city of Milwaukee. So this is just within Milwaukee proper. We Energy has a pretty wide range, so this would just be for the city. And now he's trying to take some action steps on that plan, going from theoretical to actual concrete plans. So there's a public hearing that's been scheduled for June 24th, a couple weeks from now, before this group known as the Public Transportation, Utilities, and Waterways Review Board.
Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Fit that right there on a business card. So I just spoke with the alderman earlier today, and he tells me that this hearing is the first step in a very lengthy process. There's a lot of channels that this would have to go through. And he credited support for the idea from a fellow alderman and the chair of this board, Bob Bauman.
Bauman and I are working on something that we're both, very brazen about, which is that we need to explore and ask the question, at the very minimum, ask the question, is We Energies right for this city?
And I have seen in watching several committee meetings that these two are on, including the Public Works Committee, et cetera. They do seem to always be like, I like the cut of your jib when he says something hot and sassy. Oh, I agree with you. Thank you,
Interesting.
Alderman. Thank
Mentoring
you so
him
much.
a little bit.
A little bit. So I mentioned that the alderman campaigned on this issue strongly last year. And if you watch those committee meetings, he doesn't hide at all how he feels about We Energies.
Every single time that we meet with We Energies, our city employees should be saying, you guys are gouging Milwaukee. Okay, now let's start this meeting.
Wears it on his shoulder a little bit. But his idea in general is he wants the city to acquire the assets that We Energy uses to generate electricity, generate power in the city, and make it the public's own, make it public owned. There's a state law that allows municipalities to do this. There's about 80 or so that currently exist in Wisconsin. Some local examples, Oconomowoc, Hartford. Now, notably, we're talking about the city of Milwaukee here,
Right.
a much bigger energy grid than a place like Oconomowoc.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about what is this going to cost, we're not 100% sure because that's part of what the Public Service Commission would do. It's the body that makes a lot of these decisions on public utilities. They would have a say in, okay, if the city is going to buy this, We Energy would have to be paid. So what's just compensation? But from what I've been able to gauge, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, if not even more than that. But an important note Brower told me when it comes to how would it be paid for, it's this idea of a revenue bond. So basically, it's a bond that's used for projects. Think like the Baird Center had revenue bonds that were made to build it. And then the revenue generated from the project pays off the bond. That's what Brower says would be used and not property tax levy.
I can definitely assure that besides maybe minor costs, like some initial administrative stuff, the acquisition of this utility will be done outside of the property tax levy.
But the question is, would this utility generate enough stable revenue from its customers to support what I just said could be north of $1 billion acquisition? We Energies, for their part, in a statement they gave to me, said essentially what customers are currently getting right now, the amount of things they provide, would not be replicated through municipalization.
I think there's no doubt about that. And, I think the other thing is nobody wants to pay more for anything in our world, right? None of us want to pay more than we have to. But we have the most reliable energy grid in the country, literally. I got family in Texas and other places where it's not this way. It's not stable. So I think part of any discussion with Brower or others has to be, how important is it that our grid is reliable? We can count on it with our weather extremes, both cold and hot. And that needs to be part of the discussion.
It'll be June 24th, 9 a.m. at City Hall.